secrecy that we find the power to shape our own destinies. Privacy is not just about protecting our personal details. It is about safeguarding our freedom, identity, and autonomy. In an era where the line between public and private is blurred, it is essential to remember that the true power of a person lies in their ability to control what others see, what they know, and how they are perceived. Privacy is not weakness. It is a declaration of self-respect and inner strength, a force that allows us to thrive and grow in a world that never stops watching. Privacy is the foundation of freedom in an age where technology connects us instantly and information travels faster than ever. The concept of privacy has evolved from a mere luxury to a vital necessity. The notion of privacy as a cornerstone of personal freedom is often overlooked, yet it remains one of the most powerful elements in safeguarding individual autonomy. Without privacy, we risk losing our most basic human right, the ability to live our lives on our own terms, free from unwarranted external influence. The right to choose what is private and what is public is foundational to freedom itself. When our personal lives are laid bare to the public eye, we lose control over our narratives, and our very identity becomes subject to the whims of others. Privacy is not just about hiding secrets or concealing facts. It is about establishing boundaries that preserve the sanctity of our personal space, whether that space is physical, emotional, or intellectual. Our private thoughts, decisions, and actions form the basis of who we are, and the freedom to decide what to disclose and what to keep to ourselves enables us to define and direct our own lives. When we are no longer able to maintain control over our private spheres, we risk becoming objects of observation rather than individuals with agency. Imagine a life where every choice, every move, and every decision is observed and judged by others, where your personal preferences and beliefs are no longer yours to nurture. This loss of privacy not only invades our mental space, but also limits our capacity for growth, self-reflection, and transformation. Moreover, privacy plays a crucial role in preserving our freedom of thought and expression. In a world where surveillance is ubiquitous and personal data is continuously collected, the fear of being constantly watched can stifle creativity, innovation, and free speech. When we feel that our every action is being monitored, we tend to censor ourselves, avoiding any expression that might invite judgment or scrutiny. The freedom to think without fear of exposure is essential for cultivating originality and fostering personal development. Privacy, therefore, is not just a matter of protecting individual data. It is the protective shield that allows individuals to think freely, take risks, and explore ideas without the fear of backlash or consequences. In a broader societal context, privacy underpins the democratic principles of free will and self-determination. In democratic societies, citizens are entitled to control their personal information and have the right to live without constant interference from the state, corporations, or others. This fundamental right empowers individuals to make choices based on their values without undue influence or coercion. Without privacy, people become vulnerable to manipulation, control, and even oppression. The government, businesses, or other powerful entities can wield the information they collect to sway opinions, influence elections, and dictate personal choices. This is why privacy is not only a personal matter, but also a collective concern that impacts the fabric of society itself. Ultimately, privacy is the bedrock upon which freedom is built. It provides us with the autonomy to make choices, express ourselves, and live without fear of constant surveillance or judgment. To maintain our freedom, we must protect the sanctity of privacy, understanding that its preservation is not just an individual responsibility, but a societal one. When we fail to defend privacy, we risk losing the very essence of what it means to be free. In an interconnected world, the strength of our freedom lies in our ability to keep certain things private, to guard our personal space, and to remain in control of our own narratives. Secrecy guards our identity in a world where everything is exposed and readily accessible. Secrecy is the shield that protects our most fundamental sense of self. Our identity is not simply defined by what others know about us, but by the parts of ourselves we choose to keep private. It is in the spaces we create between ourselves and the world that we find the true essence of who we are. Secrecy is not about hiding malicious intent or operating in the shadows. It is about safeguarding the pieces of our identity that allow us to define and evolve as individuals. In a society that often encourages oversharing and constant self-disclosure, the act of keeping certain things private becomes a vital tool for self-preservation. Our identity is composed of our values, beliefs, experiences, and desires, and all of these are often too sacred or complex to be understood by others. When we allow too much of ourselves to be exposed, we risk losing the uniqueness that defines us. By keeping aspects of our lives to ourselves, we maintain the space needed to reflect, grow, and refine our identity without the pressure of external judgment. Secrecy allows us to have control over the narrative of our lives. It gives us the time and space to process our thoughts and emotions, free from the constant need for validation or approval from others. When we expose too much of ourselves, we open ourselves to being misjudged or misunderstood. Not every aspect of our identity is ready for the scrutiny of others. Some parts of us are meant to evolve quietly without the interference of public opinion. The danger of oversharing in the digital age is that the personal boundaries we once had are now increasingly eroded, often without our consent. Every tweet, photo, or post becomes a piece of the public puzzle that others use to form opinions about us. In this age of instant connectivity, it is easy to forget that we are not required to share every facet of our lives. The need for privacy ensures that our identity remains our own, untainted by external pressures. Secrecy also allows us to maintain a sense of mystery and depth. In relationships, both personal and professional, revealing everything too quickly can create a superficial connection. True intimacy and trust are built over time through shared experiences and selective disclosure. When we withhold certain parts of ourselves, we invite others to explore and discover who we are gradually, allowing for deeper connections to form. This kind of intimacy is built on mutual respect for the boundaries of personal privacy. Just as a book is more interesting when its pages are slowly turned, our relationships become richer when they unfold over time, not through an immediate, complete disclosure of every detail. Furthermore, secrecy empowers us to protect our vulnerabilities. We are all human, and we all have aspects of our lives that are fragile, complex, or painful. Keeping these parts of ourselves hidden from the world is not an act of cowardice, rather it is an act of self-respect and self-care. Our vulnerabilities are not meant to be displayed for others to scrutinize or use against us. By keeping these aspects private, we protect our emotional well-being and maintain the integrity of our identity. Secrecy, in this sense, is an act of strength. It allows us to keep the parts of ourselves that are most precious safe from harm, giving us the freedom to be who we are without fear of exploitation. Ultimately, secrecy is a powerful tool that guards our identity, protecting us from the pressures of external judgment. preserving our vulnerability and allowing us to grow and evolve without interference. In a world that constantly demands more of us, secrecy gives us the space to be ourselves, free from the eyes of others. Our identity, like any valuable treasure, deserves to be protected, and secrecy provides the necessary protection to ensure that we are never lost in the noise of the world. Through the act of keeping certain things private, we remain the authors of our own story, with the freedom to define who we are and who we wish to become. Secrecy guards our identity in a world where everything is exposed and readily accessible. Secrecy is the shield that protects our most fundamental sense of self. Our identity is not simply defined by what others know about us, but by the parts of ourselves we choose to keep private. It is in the spaces we create between ourselves and the world that we find the true essence of who we are. Secrecy is not about hiding malicious intent or operating in the shadows. It is about safeguarding the pieces of our identity that allow us to define and evolve as individuals. In a society that often encourages oversharing and constant self-disclosure, the act of keeping certain things private becomes a vital tool for self-preservation. Our identity is composed of our values, beliefs, experiences, and desires, and all of these are often too sacred or complex to be understood by others. When we allow too much of ourselves to be exposed, we risk losing the uniqueness that defines us. By keeping aspects of our lives to ourselves, we maintain the space needed to reflect, grow, and refine our identity without the pressure of external judgment. Secrecy allows us to have control over the narrative of our lives. It gives us the time and space to process our thoughts and emotions, free from the constant need for validation or approval from others. When we expose too much of ourselves, we open ourselves to being misjudged or misunderstood. Not every aspect of our identity is ready for the scrutiny of others. Some parts of us are meant to evolve quietly without the interference of public opinion. The danger of oversharing in the digital age is that the personal boundaries we once had are now increasingly eroded, often without our consent. Every tweet, photo, or post becomes a piece of the public puzzle that others use to form opinions about us. In this age of instant connectivity, it is easy to forget that we are not required to share every facet of our lives. The need for privacy ensures that our identity remains our own, untainted by external pressures. Secrecy also allows us to maintain a sense of mystery and depth. In relationships, both personal and professional, revealing everything too quickly can create a superficial connection. True intimacy and trust are built over time through shared experiences and selective disclosure. When we withhold certain parts of ourselves, we invite others to explore and discover who we are gradually, allowing for deeper connections to form. This kind of intimacy is built on mutual respect for the boundaries of personal privacy. Just as a book is more interesting when its pages are slowly turned, our relationships become richer when they unfold over time, not through an immediate, complete disclosure of every detail. Furthermore, secrecy empowers us to protect our vulnerabilities. We are all human, and we all have aspects of our lives that are fragile, complex, or painful. Keeping these parts of ourselves hidden from the world is not an act of cowardice. Rather, it is an act of self-respect and self-care. Our vulnerabilities are not meant to be displayed for others to scrutinize or use against us. By keeping these aspects private, we protect our emotional well-being and maintain the integrity of our identity. Secrecy, in this sense, is an act of strength. It allows us to keep the parts of ourselves that are most precious safe from harm, giving us the freedom to be who we are without fear of exploitation. Ultimately, secrecy is a powerful tool that guards our identity, protecting us from the pressures of external judgment, preserving our vulnerability, and allowing us to grow and evolve without interference. In a world that constantly demands more of us, secrecy gives us the space to be ourselves, free from the eyes of others. Our identity, like any valuable treasure, deserves to be protected, and secrecy provides the necessary protection to ensure that we are never lost in the noise of the world. Through the act of keeping certain things private, we remain the authors of our own story, with the freedom to define who we are and who we wish to become. Control over information equals power in an interconnected world where data is constantly being collected, shared, and analyzed. The ability to control information is one of the most valuable forms of power we can possess. Every piece of information, whether it's about our personal preferences, habits, or beliefs, holds the potential to shape the way we are perceived, the decisions we make, and even the way we interact with others. When we maintain control over the flow of our information, we hold the reins of our own narrative. This control over what is shared, when it is shared, and with whom, becomes a tool of empowerment, allowing us to preserve our autonomy and ensure that our lives are not shaped by external forces or manipulated by those who seek to exploit our data. At its core, power lies in the ability to make choices. The more information others have about us, the more they can influence the decisions we make and the paths we take. Whether it's advertisers using our search histories to target us with specific products, political campaigns analyzing our social media activity to sway our votes, or even individuals using our personal data to manipulate us, the lack of control over our information exposes us to forces that can direct our actions without us even realizing it. When we give up control over what we share, we give others the power to shape our thoughts, choices, and, ultimately, our lives. This is why privacy is not just a personal matter. It is a societal concern, as it protects individuals from exploitation and preserves the integrity of free will. The power of information control is evident in how successful individuals and organizations have mastered the art of managing their data. Consider the top innovators and entrepreneurs of the modern world. Many of them are selective about what they reveal, choosing to protect their personal lives and decisions from the public eye. This strategic control over what is known about them allows them to focus on their work, build strong reputations, and navigate the world on their own terms. By maintaining a sense of mystery and reserving key pieces of information, they retain the ability to surprise, innovate, and lead without the weight of constant external influence. This sense of control over what is shared creates an aura of strength, allowing them to remain focused on their goals without being derailed by outside pressures. Similarly, the ability to control information is essential for safeguarding our personal relationships. In any relationship, whether familial, romantic, or professional, the balance of information sharing creates trust and mutual respect. When we share too much too quickly, we risk overwhelming others or giving them too much power over us. However, when we are selective about what we disclose, we establish boundaries that allow for deeper, more meaningful connections. It is through the careful management of what we reveal that we allow relationships to develop gradually, ensuring that they are based on mutual understanding and respect rather than external pressure or manipulation. In the digital age, information is a currency that can either empower or disempower us. Those who understand the importance of controlling their data are able to navigate the complexities of the modern world with confidence, knowing that they are in control of how their lives are perceived. Whether it's through protecting personal information online, being mindful of what we share in public spaces, or simply choosing to remain silent when necessary, controlling information is a conscious act of empowerment. By mastering this skill, we preserve not only our personal autonomy, but also our dignity, independence, and freedom. In conclusion, the control over information is a profound form of power. It enables us to steer the course of our lives, preserve our autonomy, and maintain control over how we are perceived. In a world where information is constantly flowing and shaping our world, maintaining privacy allows us to retain our strength, focus, and ability to make independent decisions. Privacy, therefore, is not just a protective measure. It is an active force that empowers us to live authentically and with purpose, free from the influence of those who seek to control us through the information they collect. Privacy fosters deep, meaningful relationships in today's hyper-connected world, where social media platforms often push us to overshare and expose every aspect of our lives. Privacy has become a rare and valuable asset. Yet, it is through the careful preservation of privacy that we can nurture the deepest, most meaningful relationships. True intimacy and connection are built on trust, respect, and the understanding that not everything about a person needs to be shared with the world. In the realm of human connection, privacy is not just a boundary. It is the fertile ground in which relationships grow, thrive, and evolve. Without privacy, relationships risk becoming shallow, transactional, and vulnerable to external pressures, which often leads to their downfall. The essence of privacy in relationships is the ability to preserve certain aspects of ourselves that remain sacred and unique. We often hear the phrase, "What happens between us stays between us," and this simple idea captures the power of privacy. When we share something intimate, whether it's a personal experience, an emotion, or a vulnerable aspect of ourselves, we are entrusting that person with something deeply significant. This act of trust creates a bond that goes beyond mere interaction. It cultivates a sense of closeness and understanding that cannot be replicated by exposing everything for the sake of public display. In the absence of privacy, this sacred space for trust is compromised, and what once may have been a meaningful connection risks becoming just another relationship defined by shallow exchanges or surface-level interactions. Privacy fosters a sense of safety within relationships. In any deep connection, whether with a partner, friend, or family member, individuals need to feel secure enough to be themselves without fear of judgment or exposure. It's through this sense of security that people can open up, share their dreams, their fears, and their flaws. When privacy is respected, we allow others to reveal their true selves in their own time and on their own terms, which strengthens the foundation of trust between individuals. This is especially true in romantic relationships, where intimacy is built over time, layer by layer. Revealing too much too quickly can overwhelm the connection, creating a sense of vulnerability without the security of mutual respect and understanding. Instead, when both parties are granted the space to reveal themselves gradually and privately, the relationship deepens and matures into something more meaningful and enduring. Moreover, privacy allows for the autonomy of each individual within a relationship. It is crucial to remember that even in the most committed partnerships, both people are still individuals with their own thoughts, desires, and experiences. Privacy ensures that each person retains the right to their personal space, whether it's their thoughts, activities, or past experiences. Without this, relationships risk becoming suffocating, as the lines between individuality and togetherness blur. When one person's private life is consistently shared or invaded, it diminishes the autonomy of the other, turning the relationship into a codependent entanglement rather than a mutual partnership. A healthy relationship is built on two people who support and complement one another, yet still maintain their own sense of self. Privacy, in this sense, is an important tool in preserving the integrity of the relationship while still allowing room for personal growth and exploration. In friendships, too, privacy plays a crucial role in fostering deep connections. Genuine friendships are not built on the number of personal details we share with each other, but on the shared understanding and respect for each other's boundaries. True friends know that there are aspects of their lives that they choose to keep private, and that doesn't diminish the bond between them, it enhances it. The space we give one another to be ourselves, without the expectation of constant disclosure, allows friendships to develop with depth and authenticity. By respecting privacy, we allow room for mutual trust, understanding, and a sense of security that strengthens the relationship over time. Without privacy, friendships can quickly turn into transactional exchanges, where the balance of give and take becomes skewed and the foundation of true connection erodes. Privacy also shields relationships from the influence of external forces. In an age where public scrutiny is commonplace, the desire for validation from outside sources can threaten the integrity of our personal relationships. When we constantly seek approval from others, whether through social media, likes, comments, or opinions from family and friends, we risk allowing external pressures to dictate how we navigate our personal connections. Privacy serves as a buffer from these outside forces, giving individuals the space to determine what's best for them, independent of societal expectations or external judgment. This autonomy allows relationships to grow in a way that is authentic to those involved, rather than being shaped by the noise and demands of the outside world. In conclusion, privacy is not merely a protective shield, but a fundamental component of deep, meaningful relationships. It fosters trust, allows for personal autonomy, and ensures that the bond between individuals is based on authenticity and mutual respect. Without privacy, relationships can easily become shallow, transactional, and vulnerable to external pressures that undermine their foundation. By protecting the sanctity of privacy, we create the space necessary for relationships to evolve into something truly profound, where individuals are free to be themselves, open up in their own time, and build lasting, meaningful connections based on shared trust and understanding. In a world that increasingly prioritizes exposure and oversharing, maintaining privacy becomes a powerful and intentional act that safeguards the depth and integrity of our relationships. True strength lies in discretion in an era where the pressures to share every thought, every moment, and every detail of our lives have never been more pronounced. The art of discretion has become a rare and invaluable form of strength. Discretion is the ability to choose when to speak and when to remain silent, when to reveal and when to withhold. It is not just a passive act, but an active display of self-control, wisdom, and inner strength. In a world that celebrates transparency and encourages constant exposure, the quiet power of discretion allows individuals to navigate their personal and professional lives with integrity, autonomy, and profound purpose. The true measure of strength in today's society lies not in how much we share, but in how wisely we choose to protect what is sacred, what is private, and what is precious to us. The essence of discretion is rooted in the awareness that not everything needs to be known by everyone. In fact, the more we disclose about ourselves, the more we risk losing the ability to control our own narrative. In the age of social media, it has become almost a societal expectation that we should share every aspect of our lives, from the mundane to the profound, for the sake of connection, validation, or even influence. But this constant drive for visibility comes at a cost. The more we reveal, the more we expose ourselves to external judgments, pressures, and even manipulations. Discretion allows us to retain control over our lives, to decide which aspects of our personal experiences should remain ours alone, and to determine when, how, and to whom we disclose those parts that we choose to share. In this way, discretion becomes an act of personal sovereignty. It is a conscious and deliberate decision to maintain the boundaries that protect our identity, our peace of mind, and our emotional well-being. In relationships, discretion plays a pivotal role in establishing and maintaining respect, trust, and mutual understanding. The impulse to overshare, especially in the context of intimate relationships, can often undermine the very trust it seeks to build. True intimacy is not about knowing everything about each other. Rather, it is about knowing each other in a deeper, more authentic way. Discretion allows us to maintain the mystery and space that foster this kind of intimacy. In romantic partnerships, for example, sharing too much too soon can overwhelm the connection and dilute its authenticity. Discretion, in this sense, creates room for the relationship to evolve at its own pace, with both individuals having the opportunity to reveal themselves gradually, allowing for a bond that is based on trust and shared experience rather than external validation. Moreover, discretion in relationships helps to protect both parties from the potential harm of too much exposure. There are certain things in life, be they past experiences, personal vulnerabilities, or even opinions, that are best shared only when the time is right and with the right person. Rushing to disclose everything at once may lead to misunderstandings, or worse, to the erosion of trust. Discretion provides the space to allow individuals to process their own feelings, come to terms with their experiences, and share them when they are emotionally prepared to do so. In the absence of discretion, relationships can easily become transactional, where the focus shifts from mutual respect and understanding to a constant exchange of personal information. This can create a sense of emotional exhaustion or vulnerability that weakens the foundation of the relationship. In professional environments, discretion becomes an even more critical tool for success. In the workplace, the ability to control what information is shared and with whom is often the difference between maintaining a strong reputation and becoming a target of gossip or political maneuvering. Discretion allows individuals to protect their own interests, make thoughtful decisions, and navigate the complexities of organizational dynamics without exposing themselves to unnecessary risks. It is the ability to keep sensitive matters confidential, to avoid oversharing personal opinions, and to practice restraint when discussing issues that could potentially damage relationships or reputations. In this way, discretion allows professionals to maintain their credibility and integrity while still participating in open communication when necessary. Discretion also plays a key role in personal development. The act of choosing what to reveal and when is an expression of self-respect and wisdom. In a world that constantly demands more information, discretion becomes a form of self-preservation. By choosing to keep certain thoughts and experiences private, we create the space necessary for reflection, growth, and inner peace. Not every thought or feeling needs to be expressed publicly. In fact, much of our personal growth occurs in the quiet moments of introspection, when we reflect on our experiences and allow ourselves to process them in solitude. Discretion allows us to maintain the integrity of this inner process, preventing the noise of external opinions from clouding our judgment and self-awareness. True strength lies in the ability to remain silent when necessary and to speak only when it serves a higher purpose. Discretion is not about withholding information out of fear or manipulation, but rather about choosing to share only that which is necessary, valuable, and meaningful. This level of self-control requires a deep understanding of one's own boundaries and the wisdom to know when and where one's words or actions will have the greatest impact. It is a power that comes from within, a quiet strength that empowers individuals to live with purpose, integrity, and intention. In a world that often rewards those who are loud and visible, the person who exercises discretion is often the one who holds the true power, the ability to navigate life on their own terms and maintain control over their own destiny. Furthermore, discretion is a sign of emotional intelligence. It involves the ability to read situations, to understand the impact of our words and actions, and to make thoughtful decisions about what to reveal. Emotional intelligence involves knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to share and when to withhold. It is the capacity to understand that not every situation requires a response, and not every conversation needs to be an open book. The emotionally intelligent individual understands that discretion fosters respect in all aspects of life, whether in relationships, the workplace, or personal encounters, and that being selective about what we disclose ensures that we maintain a sense of control over our emotional well-being. In conclusion, true strength lies in discretion because it empowers us to navigate life with wisdom, self-control, and integrity. In a world that constantly pushes us to expose more and more of ourselves, discretion is the quiet power that allows us to protect what is sacred, maintain our autonomy, and preserve our emotional well-being. It is the skill to know when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to reveal only what is necessary. Discretion is not a sign of weakness, but a profound display of strength, a strength that comes from within and gives us the power to shape our lives, our relationships, and our future on our own terms.